Sad news from the world of sports Monday when we learned Ryne Sandberg, former Chicago Cubs great and Baseball Hall of Famer, lost his battle with prostate cancer. Joining us today to share some memories of Ryne Sandberg is a former teammate and Galesburg's very own Major League All-Star Jim Sundberg, a six-time Rolling Gold Glove winner and three-time American League All-Star and a world champion. Jim played with Ryne Sandberg during the 87 and part of the 88 seasons with the Cubs. So Jim, thanks for joining me today to talk about one of the greatest to ever play the game, Ryne Sandberg.
Hey, Jay, good to be with you. Sorry it's this occasion, but it's always good to see you.
Yeah, same to you, Jim. Before we dig into Ryne Sandberg, the person, let's talk about Ryne Sandberg, the player. What made him so good?
Well, he was consistent. He had great hands. He was quick. He could steal bases. He hit for average, hit for power, and he just was that kind of a guy. He was in there every day and was a solid ball player.
For those, too young maybe to have seen Ryne play, kind of describe him as a player. You kind of talked about that a little bit, but what was he like to watch?
Well, he's one of those guys that you came to the ballpark to watch because of his skill set, what he could do defensively and what he could do offensively, and he just epitomized what a quality Hall of Fame second baseman would look like. I became aware a few years ago that the top 1% of all baseball players are Hall of Famers.
Right.
And he's in that category.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, you played with some of the greats, through the 70s and 80s. Where does Ryne Sandberg rank on those lists of the all-time greats?
Well, he's probably the best second baseman I've played with. Frank White was another one with Kansas City in 85 and 86. That was a Gold Glover, but Frank probably wasn't the offensive guy. Although he was a good offensive player, Frank White was not the offensive player that Ryne Sandberg was. And but I think his consistency, you could count on him, and those are important traits.
Were you ever around him much? I know that you guys were all-star opponents in 84 when he was making his first all-star appearance with the Cubs, and you were making your third as a member of the Brewers, and that's when the Brewers were in the American League. Do you remember that game, and did you kind of face off against him at all?
Well, what I remember most about that game is that it was cold in the daytime in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember much of anything else other than I couldn't believe I was wearing a jacket in July for an afternoon baseball game.
From everything we've heard, Ryne Sandberg was just a genuinely really good person. Kind of describe him as a person.
Well, he was really kind of quiet until you got to know him a little bit. He came up with the term "hello," but when something good happened, or to give some kind of a praise or affirmation, and so that's one of the things I remember about him. But he was quiet. He was a quiet guy, but he was also a huge jokester. He did some. I mean, we laughed a lot at some of the things that he and Rick Sutcliffe did during the game, or while we were traveling, waiting on flights and stuff like that. And he enjoyed. He had fun, and it was great to be around him.
So that was 87. What was it like in the first spring training with him? You were just kind of winding down your career, and he was just a couple years removed from his MVP in 84. What do you remember about those, spring training and those couple seasons with Ryne?
Well, people would get us kind of confused.
Yeah, you got the whole Sandberg thing going on, right?
Only one letter difference in our name.
Yeah.
I knew he was S.A. And a funny thing happened in Dodger Stadium. Rick Sutcliffe put his jersey in my locker, and I wasn't aware of it. I just saw Berg put on one time, and I went on the field for half a game with a Ryne Sandberg jersey on. And we probably both were about similar size. He had dark hair, and so did I. And people would get us confused. I would be called Sandberg all the, and I said, no, it's Sundberg.
What was he like as a teammate?
Well, he was a great teammate. He, like I said, he kind of was a quiet leader. He led by his example. He led by being in the lineup. He was not a complainer. He was a positive force within the ball team.
Who were some of the, you mentioned, obviously Ryne Sandberg and you had Rick Sutcliffe. Who were some of the other guys on the team those 2 years you were with the Cubs?
Well, Keith Moreland, Andre Dawson, Leon Durham, Jody Davis, Sean Dunston, and so then Maddox was just coming up as a pitcher, and I was able to catch him in a couple of games.
Were Ryne was pretty early in his career when you played with him. Did you have any idea that he would go on and become a Hall of Famer?
Well, he was obviously, you thought, if he stays in the lineup, he stays healthy, and he continues to be consistent like he was, that he would have a chance to do that. And after being a teammate, I continued to follow his career and realized that he was destined to be a Hall of Famer.
I mean, nobody necessarily changes the game, but was he kind of a different breed at second base for his time?
Probably, I think power. I mean, for the most part, early in my career, second base shortstops were known for their defense, not necessarily for their offense. And so he brought a new style of game in play, and in that the second baseman could actually hit for an average and hit for power.
It's a reality of life, but every year we're losing more and more icons. Earlier this year, Dave Parker died just a month before going in the Hall of Fame. Why is it important to keep these memories of these great ball players alive?
Well, baseball has such a rich tradition and history, and I think more teams should honor their former players, especially those that have been really good with their team. They may not be in the Cooperstown Hall of Fame, but a lot of them are in their team's Hall of Fame, and so to keep named, the Cardinals. I hate to say this, but the Cardinals do a pretty good job of embracing their past, and they kind of serve as a model on that, I believe.
Speaking of the past, I think earlier this year you had a reunion with the '85 Royals.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. It was 85 Royals, and they honored the 15 Royals. So there was two uh, World Series teams that were honored at the same time. We had an amazing gala on a Thursday night. Then they honored the 85 team on a Friday night. They honored the 15 team on a Saturday night. It was a great way to kind of catch up with everybody. And once you win with the team and you have that kind of camaraderie, you just kind of pick things right back up after having not seen each other for a while. So it was an amazing weekend. We had a lot of fun.
Okay. Just going back to Dave Parker for a minute, since he went into the Hall of Fame, what do you remember about him as a player?
That he was a really good outfielder, and that he was a really good offensive player, and of course he was in the middle of that Pirate lineup, and did some amazing things in his career.
And also, Dick Allen went in, and I'm sure you played against him. What do you remember about Dick Allen?
Well, Dick Allen actually hit one of the hardest balls I ever saw hit in Old Comiskey Park. And I remember that his bat was huge. It's like a 44-ounce bat. It was long. I had to use two arms to pick it up. I mean, it was that big. And hit a ball deep into the camera bay in far left center field in in Comiskey Park. And it so impressed me. And I would occasionally pick up his bat before the bat boy would come out, because I was marveled at this, how big it was.
Yeah, they were talking about during the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. It's actually on his plaque. What was it, like a 40-ounce bat, maybe?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I think it was a 40-ounce bat, and it was just much bigger than anything. I used a 30. I started the season with a 32-ounce bat and went down to a 31-ounce bat. So a 40-ounce bat is huge.
okay. As we wrap up here with Jim Sundberg, Galesburg native and 16-year major league player, Gold Glover. There's going to be lots of tributes to Ryne Sandberg this week. I mean, what do you think the central message is about Ryne Sandberg?
Just his baseball prowess and that he was a good guy. I think those two things. And he seemed to be a humble guy from what I could tell, and I think that's what made him very likable.
Okay. That wraps up our conversation with Jim Sundberg talking about Ryne Sandberg. Jim, I really appreciate it. I understand you're coming back for your class reunion this week here in Galesburg, so I hope you have a great time.
All right, thank you, Jay. Great visiting with you.
Thank you.